because we're so adaptable.
We are. So the time is now 20 past, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. We're good. Okay.
It's going to work.
We are. Yes, it is going to work.
Yes.
Hello. I think we're live.
It says live on my screen. We are.
Yay. Amazing. Welcome, everybody. This has been such an amazing adventure. Andrew and I have finally made it onto a live, which is very exciting. So welcome to the Indie Authors interview series. My next wonderful author is Andrew Holt. And those of you who've been waiting for us to come on live, thank you so much for being so excited about coming and seeing us live. So Andrew is an educator, a teacher, a kinesiologist, a Reiki practitioner. He's got lots of cool skills in his tool belt, and one of those wonderful skills is he's also an author. And that's why I'm talking to him today, because we're talking about your new book that's coming out, A Shooting Star, this year, which is exciting, in a year of craziness. You thought you'd add creating a book to that.
Absolutely. Why not?
Why not? Exactly. So welcome to the Indie Author Series, Andrew Holt.
Thank you so much, Pip, for having me, and for the Spiritual Events Directory to have this platform here. It's such a wonderful platform. This book called The Shooting Star is a little bit different in the fact that I've collaborated with 18 child illustrators from around the world to illustrate a page each to help. So the main theme of the book, which is about being seen and acknowledged. And
Fantastic.
So that's the reason why I've collaborated with them and their families. And that's been a journey too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of your passions obviously is children. You love teaching children, and all the books that you've written are about children and how giving them wisdom, or tapping into their wisdom, I guess, more than giving them wisdom, because they already are quite wise, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just they are. It's just reminding them, reminding them of their own wisdom. And so, I've taught pretty much, a bit of my background is that I've been a teacher from all over Australia for the last 25 years in a couple of places overseas. And in that time and space, I learnt that, we need to create space, I feel, for children to explore and go on an adventure to create what they want to. But on the same, in the same token, when things don't work out, which, like for us in adulthood as well, let's insert some skills that can help them along the way through. So that's where, through mindfulness, through my yoga adventure, for my own personal development, those sort of skills have come through, plus common threads and themes that I've discovered in children that they need to, that would help them along the way. So there's the first two books in the Wise Kids series that I have got already. That's book 2 and book 1. Yeah. It's the story of a young boy who's going on a bit of a journey, and he needs a bit of help from his grandfather. And sits under the apple tree in the first one. Yep. And rhyme, they go on a journey together of self-inquiry. Each chapter is a self-inquiry question. Yeah. Who do you ask for help?
Exercises. There's like all different exercises and questions.
Yeah, there's questions and there's pictures. That was my journey of illustrating. I couldn't afford an illustrator at the time, so I taught myself how to draw.
You did these?
Yeah, so I did all the illustrations.
That's cool. I didn't realise that you did these ones. This is cute. So it's what are you grateful for? And these can obviously be discussion points as well for people to.
So how would you use them? As like, in the classroom you could go, I wonder what Grandpa Joe, I think Grandpa Joe's got something to say about kind acts, or what's your style with dealing with a bully, or how do you train your brain? Who do you ask for help? It's all these different things. What strengths are you going to use? And then that's what that book's about. And those strengths actually is what leads into this new book a little bit further, which I'll discuss. Right. That second book is more on emotions, the one that you've got there, about going with a flow. And Yeah, the second one's about going with the flow, and I stepped up in my own illustrations and had a go at some background illustrations there as well. Both those books come in a colouring in creative journal format where the colour's taken out and I add a line and a blank page where children can answer those questions or journal on them.
Right.
Or even as an adult, if you feel like doing that same thing, you can do as well. And you can use that colouring in as part of the relaxation as you're reflecting on the question. When you're actually accessing a different part of the brain, answers will come through when you're colouring in while you're reflecting on that question on that page. So that's part of why I released that in two formats, like the coloured version and then the creative colouring journal. Excellent. There will be a third book. The third book will be about empowerment and how to use of power.
Great.
So that will, I've taken a detour since then. So that's on pause for a while. I've actually written it. I was in this amazing place in 2012 where I actually wrote the script for the first three books. Admittedly, they needed a bit of editing, but I wrote them based on some of the ancient wisdom of the chakra system, some of the psychology, not all of it, but some of the books in the psychology of the chakra system, and mixed in with modern psychology as well. So yeah, and so the one that will be maybe 2022. This one now is what I felt called to do. It's how what I've been practicing in a classroom about giving and receiving a shooting star, and it's a methodology of acknowledging each other.
Right. Yeah, I love it. It's a few people have been making little comments. Michelle's finally travelled over, hopefully, to see us. So tell us a little bit more about the shooting star, because we made a point of putting a star in our background today so that we could comment on the whole concept of the shooting star. So you developed it as part of your teaching style in the classroom, correct?
Yes. So in the classroom, it's all about being and seeing what we want to see in the world, be the change you wish to see. So how do we do that? And I need to model that as an adult in what I do and when I make mistakes and all those sorts of things. So it's I'm not this unachievable, idealistic sort of human, but we were still got to focus on what we want. So when I would see actually how it all came about, the very first thing I was in, it just came to me. The moment that it came to me was just a moment of inspiration. Actually, I was teaching in quite a challenging school, and I was lining up ready for them to come into class, and the kids were everywhere. I was relief teaching, so lining them all up. And I think, and the kids actually knew me. I've known them before, but they weren't lining up. And I had about 4 children lining up, and I said, "Oh my goodness, look at you 4. I really love what you're doing." And outstretched my hand and I'm going, "Here's a shooting star for you guys for being organised and ready to come into the learning." So I reached out my hand like that. And they're like, "What? What is a shooting star?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Andrew, what is a shooting star?"
I
go, "Don't you know what it is?" And I'm like, "I don't know what it is." and they're going, "No." I go, "Well, but just because I've seen you being organised, I've seen a quality that I love about you. I'm giving you a shooting star and you've got to grab hold of it, because if you don't grab hold of it, it's going to get lost in the universe, isn't it?" So they grabbed hold of it. And where do all good memories go? And this is quite cutesy, but they all go in your heart. So, because that's where we remember things from our heart. And so that started the procedure of then when I'm in the classroom, looking at the values, what they wanted to see in each other, from kindness, helpfulness, and you throw in the persistence and resilience as well. And you explicitly teach that through the examples of, did you just see what Sally did when what happened there? And she's come back inside. That's actually called resilience. Oh my gosh, Sally, that is amazing that you have just done that. That is resilience. So they get reinforced. And when you use that remember when you did that, what technique? Was it a breathing technique or something to help you be resilient, or however a strategy they used? So you're acknowledging that, and in the meantime everyone else in the class is hearing that as an example of what resilience is. So that's a constant interweaving in my language in the classroom. So it's a way of creating an environment for success. But the pivotal thing here is it's not just me, who deems me as God to decide who gets a shooting star. I put the power back in the children's hands and say, you know, it's not just me. You guys can give out a shooting star to each other. And there is a recording system that happens in the classroom when I'm in there more of a permanent time, like I've done contracts up for 6 months. Yeah, and so they love put their hand up. I want to nominate something, and they start to know what they want to see.
Yeah.
They're so good at telling me all the bad stories, or the dobbing of he's doing this, or or the what they shouldn't. And so this is little strategies to sort of create more of a balance, and because all kids want is attention. So and to be seen and acknowledged in a world where we're often not seen and acknowledged, or if we are, for the negative.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So absolutely love it.
Yeah. I love that the kids are like, as soon as you kind of present that to them, I believe that our natural inclination is to go to the positive. As from children, they always come from that positive space. They're always in that space of let's learn things, let's grow, let's share our knowledge, let's be kind to each other. And I think we learn to not do that. I think our natural inclination is to actually be loving and kind, but we get told, no, be afraid of this person, or no, don't touch that, or be careful of this, or, and the first word that a lot of children learn is the word no. It's amazing how many parents will say to me that was their first word, because you're constantly saying, no, don't touch that. No, don't fall over there. Don't go over there. Don't eat that. So it's really cool that you are bringing in those concepts. And it's not, what I like about what you do is that it's not about controlling the child in terms of, manipulating their behavior in a traditional kind of teaching sense. Do you get what I mean? It's coming from that space of let's get those values, those good values of being kind to each other and empowering ourselves and each other, rather than going, I just want you to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, it's who we are as a person. So it's creating our personality, by what we focus on, which is Dr. Joe's Dispenza. So to create what's this thing he says, create your personal reality becomes your personality. So and it's also, kids are often in the traditional way waiting for a teacher. They sit back waiting for a teacher to be acknowledged. And I say to them, you know what? Why do I have to be the one that does all the work here? My neural pathways are firing left, right, and centre, trying to find all the things. Let's get your neural pathways, mixing it with understanding of what neuroscience is and learning, and let's get our neurons sparking and creating those wires that you can create that program of focusing on what you want to see. And with the reticular activating system, what we focus on, I'm not sure if our listeners understand what that is. It's part of the brain that sort of filters out. Its job is to filter out all the incoming environment by what we wish to see. So what we focus on, we begin to see more of. Like if you buy brand new cars, the typical example, you all of a sudden see, oh my gosh, and look, even the same colour, you all of a sudden see more of them, or a pregnant woman will see more pregnant women. And it's not that there's any more pregnant women out there, it's just because your focus is on that. That's your reticular activating system. So if I'm focusing on what I want to see in kindness, healthfulness, and creating those neural pathways, well, I don't know, logic seems to me that you're going to see more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, if we talk about the law of attraction, most of the people in the spiritual events directory, will have heard of the law of attraction. They may not have heard specifically of the reticular activating system, but it's a similar concept that what we focus on is what we manifest, or what we spend the most time and energy looking at is what gets drawn to us like a magnet. So if we're focusing on the negative, then we get lots more negative things. And if we focus on the positive, then we get more positive things.
And and particularly when it's charged with our emotion as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool. So the transition from moving it from the school space, the classroom space, to creating a book, what was the impetus behind creating a book that actually, shows everybody how to give a shooting star, or the concept of the shooting star?
Well, the reason for the book is to support the teacher or the parent at home, because this actually could be a strategy used at a parent. When I was in the community in the Northern Territory, we actually at the time we were using high five, and it could be used like giving each other high fives. They had hands with all the values. They wanted to take it home to practice with their families in the community.
Yeah.
Those qualities, to share that in the community, because I say to the children, you know, sometimes mums and dad needs help finding these qualities as well. You can be a leader, a wise leader, and help share that.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other little avenue you can go down with children. So then that's why the book is to try and support it and take it further than what just one teacher can do in a classroom, is to support other teachers that might trial it, or even in the discussion at home. And within the book, there is a little challenge at the end. So it gives you some step-by-step little guideline at the end how you can trial it at home or in the classroom. Yeah,
that's great. So how have you structured the book? Because we don't actually have a copy of the book yet, do we? Because it's not quite ready, but you do have some illustrations.
I do have some illustrations. I don't actually have the front cover yet, because the front cover.
Do you want to explain how you've put the book together in terms of the fact that what you've actually done in terms of creating the book?
Okay, yeah. So about a year ago, it was actually, I realised that I'd written the script actually probably 2 years ago. I felt this was where it was what was next, and so I thought, oh wow, wouldn't it be great to acknowledge one illustrator and just put in the book and get them to illustrate it. So I put a colouring in competition out there for people that I knew. I maybe got about 20 people or something, or maybe not even that much. But anyhow, people put them in, and then I couldn't decide. Actually, it was only probably about 11 or 10 or 11, and I couldn't actually decide which illustrator. And I suddenly realised I'm going to be in a relationship with these families, not only the children and their parents, for however long this book goes for, and I really wanted to get to know them. And so I rang each, and we had a little interview, and I couldn't decide to pick one illustrator to just do the whole book. So what I ended up doing is, like, well, a child can do 1 page each, or did a couple of pages, and I chose one from them.
Great.
So that's what's happening. They could use any medium that they wanted. It was up to their individual artistic pursuit. And when I realised that, and I think I only had probably 9 or 10, I suddenly realised after that realisation I can open it up again. So I started to reach out to people around the world. I thought, wouldn't it be great if children from around the world could illustrate this? So I've got 2 children from Africa, 2 in Indonesia from an old contact, because I was an Indonesian teacher and did training in Indonesia 20 years ago. I'm still in contact with one of my old people I was at uni with. The Solomon Islands, Czech Republic, England, Brazil.
Great.
So as well as the main illustrators are in 10 of them are in Queensland, southeast Queensland, and I've got one illustrator in Canberra.
Great. So how many is that all together then? That's like nearly 20.
I think when it comes down to it, it's 18. So maybe 18. I've overestimated the numbers.
That was me going.
I can't actually remember how many in the colouring in competition last year was. I've seen so many different ones, and you know, this actual competition is the journey of shooting stars. All what I'm on about is about their children having a gift, and in this case, it's illustrating, and it's about creating a platform, which is part of my philosophy, is create a space for kids to shine, to step into their strengths on that. In this case, that, and on that, it's a journey. Just as I had to go a journey when you publish a book, or when I was illustrating, my self-belief, they had to go, oh my gosh, some children go, well, what if other people would see it? And go through that whole process of, is it good enough, and am I good enough? And so they've been on that journey, and I'm sure their parents and the teachers that have been part of this could probably testify to that. And definitely. I'm looking to have a conversation with them about the whole process eventually. So that's what we have. I'll show you a couple of illustrations if I can.
Yes, please. Show us some of the illustrations.
So the story actually opens with, it's dedicated to both my grandparents who have passed, my grandmothers, because they had such a big influence of them in my life. So it's all dedicated to that. And the story's roughly about a young girl who's moved with her family to a new place.
Yep.
And yeah, and then it opens up with her and her grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Her and her grandmother, there's a little silhouette.
Yeah.
Looking up to the stars in wonder.
Oh,
And
that's cute.
this has been amazing. This is a 10-year-old who's painted this.
How
Look at the
amazing is that?
yeah, isn't
And
it? She's captured that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
And so she sits under the stars with the grandmother one night, who's come to visit in the new place, and she says, and grandma, and they see a shooting star, and basically that she says, "What would you like to wish for?" And she said, "Grandma, you know what? Since we've moved here, the kids at school are mean, the teachers are stressed, and even mum and dad are fighting. I just wish everyone to be happy again."
Yeah.
So and then the story goes out, unfolds on how that she makes a wish and how that wish comes true, and about the development of how to give and receive a shooting star, and then it spreads throughout the community.
Excellent. So does the child come up with the idea of the shooting star in the story, or does the grandmother?
Well, she goes to bed and she has a dream that night after talking to her grandmother. Yeah. And she flies across the universe wishing everyone, shooting stars to everyone on the planet.
Right. Look at them all in Australia.
That's from Meg. So she's done that and she's got little faces all over it.
There's even some in Antarctica down there.
Yep. It's everywhere. So she's done that. And so she goes and she wakes up the next morning to discover. She goes down to her dad, and this one, I love this one. This is from Indonesia. Yeah. She finds out that her dad is cooking her a favorite pancake.
Yeah.
And so then she all of a sudden she said, "Dad, I love that." And she reaches out, and all of a sudden a star comes out of her hand. And she said, "Dad, I really love how you're always looking after me and giving me breakfast in the morning. My favorite breakfast."
Oh.
And so then he gives her one back.
Yeah.
And it reminds him, "You just can't give me one back without a reason because it's not powerful."
Right.
So he stops and thinks for a minute, and he gives one back and says, "Look, I love how you're so creative and inventive." So, and then that star becomes powerful. Then she challenges him to give some at work. And then he goes and starts to spread it through her daily life. And it goes throughout the whole community and then eventually the whole school. And so the whole community the whole environment begins to change, which is her perception, really. It comes back to her perception of reality, but it's, and it's just modeled in the story.
Fantastic. I love that. Yeah. That's so cool. And I also love how each of the different children has their perception of what she looks like. What's the name of the character?
The name of the character we've got is Sarah.
Sarah, okay.
And so it was quite interesting because each child, not each, but a few of them goes, "Well, how should it be? How should Sarah look like?" And I said, "Well, it needs to look like you need to make it look like from your culture." So because we've got Africa and Asia, and it's like, don't make it like they was thinking I was wanting it what I want for it to be
like a generic.
Like me being a white Anglo-Saxon background. No. Sure. It's what when your environment. So, and the story, you can tell by the illustration where she is anyhow, the reader can read. So it's not about a particular type of Sarah. It's the Sarah that everyone can be a Sarah,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm going to have to show you this one. This is an amazing illustrator. Close by, who's done them doing a big star jump at the end when she's on stage getting an award.
I love there's a cat in the audience as well.
Yes.
A cat and a dog.
Yeah, everyone's part of it.
That's so fantastic. Even the cat and the dog are giving a star.
That's nearly the end of the story. There's one little special, quite heartwarming one, which I'll leave that to
don't want to give away. Don't give away the whole story, but it is very cute. And we've had a few comments while we've been talking. Kerry Addison, one of our regulars, is on. She said it looks amazing. And Kelly Marie is on watching us as well.
Hi, Kelly.
And who else is in? Michelle, if she's still there, or she was there a minute ago. There she is. I think she's still there. Anyway, say hello if anyone has any questions as well. Oh, and Kirsty Baines is coming in from Forest Glen in Sunshine Coast.
Yes.
I don't know where Sunshine
Oh, Kirsty.
Forest Glen is.
Yeah, I know.
But some people like to say someone's calling in from Chicago. Robin, how nice. Welcome to us. Welcome to our little conversation. That's so cool.
And just you're lovely. And if you have any questions, I can't actually see the questions on here. I had to get onto my phone and working on the laptop.
If anyone has any questions, please feel free to do them. I am seeing the questions on my phone, so I can pass them on to Andrew if you have questions for him about the book. Hi, Heather McPherson. There's people that I recognise from other shows, which is really cool. So so where are you at this point? Obviously, you've got the illustrations for the book and you've got the story written. So where are you at in actually, putting it
together? Yeah, so because in the beginning, like there's been a little bit of a ride, and I'll just try to shorten it. So in the beginning, because many children were overseas, they took a photo of it as best as they could with finding whoever they could get it done, and then they sent that through to me, and then I used that. And then during this COVID lockdown and everything was, it was meant to be released a little bit earlier. Then I was starting to get, because I was wanting all these, when we have a book launch, I was wanting all the originals, and so we can put them around the room as our book launch and have a profile. I'm going to have a profile of each illustrator on my website, and some other work that they have. So they're all getting me information with that to showcase them so they can be seen, and someone who knows, someone might like their work and may contact them. So that's another
like an art installation sort of idea as well.
Yeah, and so now I've got them pretty much all except a couple. And so the idea, and so an artist said to me, why don't you actually, a friend of mine said, just scan it and you get the more quality rather than a photocopy. So I did that. Then a couple didn't turn out as much as, so it's been a whole process of trying to try to showcase the quality of art in the best format possible to do each person justice. Yeah. So at the moment that's come through, and I just got an email this morning from Jason Smith and from Ocean Reef Publishing. So big shout out to those guys for all their help. I know they've helped support you with getting your work out as well. So they're a great team to work with.
Yeah, and ORP, Ocean Reef Publishing, we'll give them a shout out as well, because they have helped us both get our work out into the world, our books, which is exciting, and it's so nice to be able to have a support team behind you, to try and do this on your own. Imagine if you were trying to do this on your own. It's quite a process.
Yeah, so at the moment, I've just been told in an email this morning that I will get the full copy next week, and I'll have to do the final edit before they send back, and then we'll start the printing. Well, there's something else that has to happen before the printing process. I'm not quite sure.
They have to format. It into the program. Yeah. Yes, or they might have done that already if they've given you a proof. But anyway,
I've got that proof will come through, the final proof, after the last edit, which is due middle next week, and then that's they'll end up giving me a copy of this before it's being bound, just to see it all, and then we'll go through. Then we'll start the official launch process, which will take about 3 weeks, and hopefully mid-November it'll be out. Mid to the end of November, and at the moment what I'm doing while I've got my day off is calling the illustrators, and part of what I would like to do is to go to each of these children's schools, particularly at the moment in Southeast Queensland, and acknowledge them in front of their school assembly.
Great, that's so cool.
Yeah, and
that'd be
I hope they're not listening, but I'm hoping to get them on stage and get the whole reenact part of the book and get the whole audience shoot them a star as well to acknowledge.
Oh, that would be so cool.
So
that's amazing.
And part of part of this little package is I'm doing a little bit of a professional development package, and I'm getting through that at the moment, just nutting that out, and some resources of how it can actually be used, like in the classroom, if you want to quantify it into actual little stars given out, and there's a whole system there that I've created. And also, if a school actually wants to take my script, run the colouring in competition throughout their community, and then they can insert in, we've made it so that they can insert in just the illustrations, and then they have a book and print it as a book. Cool. As a school community or homeschooling community, if you want to
Yep.
run that competition and then get some, we can put it together and you can have your own book, which makes it more community, more real.
Unique.
And it also gives more children space to shine their illustrations as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. You could even have it as sort of like a section where people can slide their own illustration into it, like a scrapbooking type of idea,
Yeah, I haven't thought of that.
Like create the book and then people can just slide the picture in that is related to their community.
Oh. Yeah, okay. That's another option. I hadn't thought of that. So that's, Thank you. Online collaboration.
Yeah, that's right. It's always good to talk to other people. So we've had a nice comment from Heather. Said she wishes that there were more teachers like you in schools. So that's lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's very sweet. So so we've had a few people watching us. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, but feel free to ask. We're obviously talking about kindness, and we're talking about empowerment. We're talking about teaching children to share their compassion and love and acknowledging each other, and not just children.
Not what we don't want to see. And just jumping in there to tell you the funny story about this little star behind me. You know how we're talking about the reticular activating system, what you focus on and what you see more of. When I actually a year ago, I was in Bali on a parent retreat, and part of me being there was to trial the shooting star in the retreat as we're going around, like giving each other. And we're at the markets, and one of the I think one of the children the markets, they came and they saw that and they said this, or one of the parents said, "Oh, look, Andrew, we found a star for you."
That's so cool.
And they go, and you got to have it. And I was in the mindset like, I don't want to buy anything. I'm over here for a short time. And then I was like, oh no, I don't really want it. And then I don't want to, like, I just think it is a big doily. I was later to find out that it's macrame. I think you call them macrame. I don't want a big doily on my wall. What do you think?
Such a novice.
But they are very beautiful, I must admit.
I don't want a big doily on my wall. That's funny.
So anyhow, I let it for a little while, and I was walking with one of the 10-year-old girl, and I'm going, I'll just say her name's Georgina, and I said, like, Georgina, do you think I really need it? She said, yeah, it'll be really good. You can have it in the background all the time when you do all your interviews and things. And I said, okay. So I went back and I bargained down for, I think it was $33 or $34. Yeah. And they're normally 120 Australian dollars or something like that for that song. Sure. And they've got little stars all around the bottom. So it's, cute. So that's how I ended up with that.
Well, yeah, I think it's, it's very, very, it's beautiful, as you say, that amazing thing that happens. I don't believe in coincidences anymore, but those synchronistic events that happen where we're in a particular place and we're thinking about a particular thing, and then somebody gives us the thing that we're thinking about. So I think that's interesting. And what that star that I have behind me is actually technically a Christmas decoration, but my friend, one of my very, very good friends, gave me that star because she said that I was really crap at putting Christmas decorations up. So she said, you need a star, you need a nice star to put up. And so I put it up in honor of her every Christmas, but then sometimes I feel like I don't want to take it down because it reminds me of her. So I keep my star up all year round now. I don't have it. I don't take it down. So
yeah, there's so many things you can do with like stars, like star quality. What are your star qualities and things? And that leads into, there will be a little supportive journal that will go with this book where kids can then write, or whoever has the journal can write down 5-star qualities they've seen in others to the day, but also 5-star qualities within themselves.
Fantastic.
So, and then you colour it in, you go, oh, is it only a 2-star quality day or something? Like how many star qualities are you going to say? Up to 5 or, and then you can write, there's a little space to write the journal, and there'll be some quotes in there from these other books about focus and what we want to see and all that sort of thing. So that's what will be accompanying this little one.
Yeah, there's so much you could do with it, and just as you start a project, it's so interesting to me how it expands and expands, and you get this next idea and then this next idea, and then you could never have predicted necessarily how it's going to expand once you actually start that process. So it's a pretty amazing achievement to just have done. I mean, you've done 2 books already and potentially more. You said something about some other books that you've done as well. So congratulations on that. That's an amazing, I'll give you a star.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it up in my heart.
And thank you for coming. The time has flown by, as it always does when we're having these conversations. So I'll wrap it up. But if anyone wants to get in touch with you, we have put your links into the blurb underneath the video. But if you want to just tell everybody where they can find you on your social media and your website.
Yes, I'm obviously here on Facebook at the moment, and under my Andrew Holt, and then Andrew Holt, educator, author. Yep. So that's where I have a lot of my events that I have on there, upcoming book launches, and also I do events. I run events in the holidays called the Wise Kids Wizards Quest, where they implement many of these things going on a journey. So that's another side we really didn't talk about today. And I can be found on my website at www.andrewgholt.com. Instagram, the same, Andrew G. Holt. And and I'm on LinkedIn. I need to learn how to use LinkedIn a little bit more efficiently. So I'm on there, but it's the main thing is on Facebook at this stage and Instagram.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I will let everybody know, as I say, there are links and things underneath the blurb so that you can just click on the link and go and check Andrew's bits and pieces out on his website and also on his Facebook page. And if anyone else is interested in being interviewed for their business or talk about their book, please feel free to get in touch with me at Pip Coleman, author coach. So I look forward to seeing you soon. This was the Indie Author interview series. I will see you in a minute, Andrew, because we're going to stop going live. And thanks, everybody, for joining me. And it was great to see you again. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
No worries.